Alpha lovers, welcome to our first mini little series that we have going on. Decided to start a little podcast series called Real Talk with Naomi and Niah. We're just gonna open up and kind of talk about a little bit about ourselves and kind of how our friendship started. So, I think just to start us off, we can just introduce ourselves, talk a little bit about who we are, and then jump straight into it. So, Talfalava, my name is Naomi. Someone 26 years old, born and raised in South Auckland. I'm the youngest of four kids. My parents hail from the villages of Samata, Ngātarai, and Samoa. How about you? Who are you?
Hi, everybody. Oh, just you in this room. My name is Lavinia, but you can call me Nia. I am Samoan Tongan. My mom's Samoan. My dad is Tongan. Um, I am from Auckland, born and raised and I stopped in the raised. No, I was born and raised in GI. I went to mainstream school, and so it wasn't until later on in life that I started becoming more stronger in the disability sector. It's all really. I'm a boring person. I don't do anything outside of work that's unusual or like
Mm,
fascinating. I think we go to the movies together and like go theaters together, but that's it.
yeah,
I'm a boring person.
if it's not movies, then it's kind of eating out.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're both boring, don't
Yeah, my
worry.
social media stories are fraudulent. Like I'm not fun. I'm not fun at all. I'm just a really cool person behind the camera.
Yeah, okay. I think the reason why I kind of wanted to start this kind of like little podcast, I feel like as a duo, a lot of people know of our friendship, but I don't feel like they kind of know that I don't, sorry, I don't feel like they kind of understand the depth of how our friendship is like. So I kind of just wanted to create this little platform to kind of give a glimpse of how we actually are behind closed doors, without having to be who we are when we're working, if that makes sense. Although there's not really much difference, anyways. But yeah, and I kind of just wanted to be a little bit selfish and kind of flex like how we are as a duo. Which brings me to my first question, which I'm actually really excited about. What were our first impressions of each other?
Oh man, like you really had me with this question, eh? You really wanted
It's got to be one of my favorite
you
questions,
really
though.
crashed the bus, got the
Yeah, I'm
bus
getting
and
straight
got
into
me
it because
underneath
that's
it.
how it
Yeah,
goes.
that was sad. So I actually didn't like you at first.
I know.
I know, but we've addressed this. So this
Yes.
is like a lot of like years of friendship for us to be comfortable enough to like say that.
Yeah.
Um, I honest because of if I'm being honest, I think it was your age. Like
Mm,
you were 12 and I was 16
mm.
at the time, and so to me, I was just like, you're just a little moips, like and so I we were the only girls at Fair Pacifica at that time, and crack me up. You were hanging out with all the boys that were there, and we were the only girls at the time. And not gonna lie, I was jealous. Um, like what? 10 years ago, me would not admit that I was jealous. I would be like, "They're my friends. Where did you come from?"
Mm.
When legit, you belonged in that space more than I did. But then 10 years later, I'm just like, that's pretty dumb move. Like we were
It was
actually,
dumb.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know that. Sorry.
Yeah.
But I think one thing that I remind you of that time is that one word that you used to call me. It's sister. Like every time that I keep calling you sister now, you crack up
I
laughing and
hate
you
it.
hate it. Like you
I
cringe.
actually hate it. And I don't know where that word came from, but it just came, okay?
But do you realize that when you said sister, like you're a different person?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
So that was when we weren't really friends.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. But I think at that time, in my head, like we were friends.
Yeah.
But I remember the very first interaction that we had. It was my first time ever at Fab, and there were like a lot of people around, and you came up to me and you were introducing yourself, and you were just like, you were really welcoming. So that whole like you didn't like me was very one sided. I just want to put it out there. Um, I honestly remember it clear as day. You came up to me, you introduced yourself, you asked me what my name was, and you asked me like how I was liking Fab. And just from that like 2 3 minute conversation, you were really cool. I found you like a really nice person to actually get out of your way and come up to me and introduce yourself. And that was the first time I went to Fab, and then I stopped coming for a little while, then I came back, and then that's how I knew about Fusion.
Just rolled my eyes for a little bit.
Yeah, I know. But that was my point of view of our first impression, was like you were actually really dope. You were cool, you were chill. You just had this like bubbly personality that I found really, really cool. Um, and then fast forward Fusion, how cause you left for a bit.
Yeah,
You left for a bit, and then I was the only girl there,
yeah,
which I didn't mind at that time, but I needed another girl mate. So I kind of forced you to come back.
yeah,
I asked you to come back. I didn't force you.
yeah,
But I did push you to come back.
yeah.
And then you came back, and then Fusion started properly.
But I must admit, like, I think I loved you a little more that year when you reached out. Like, we were still, like, I kept you at arm's length. Like,
Mm,
we were friends, but not like friends, friends,
yeah, yeah,
right? Like, you were just someone that I said hi and bye to
yeah,
and checked up on every now and then, right? But you know that moment, I don't know if you remember, but that year I was going through a really bad breakup.
yeah,
That was one of my longest relationships ever, and we weren't close at that time. Keep in mind, like I was in a friendship that was a triangle,
yeah, yeah.
and so I was stuck in that triangle, and
Mm-hmm.
so that triangle was not negative, but they were telling me that my relationship wasn't good for me, right? But I didn't want a friend that told me that my relationship was good for me. So I rang you. I rang you and I was like, I know you don't know me that much, but I'm sad and I'm gonna
Yeah,
cry, and you let me cry.
yeah.
I don't know if you remember
I
that,
remember that.
but you were like, "What the hell?" But okay, but you let me cry. I
Yeah,
think from then on, I respected you more about that, and
yeah,
I think it became a me and you show from then on. And I think that's why we created that 2080
yeah.
system. Um,
But at that time, we didn't realize
can
it.
we explain what the 2080 system is?
Yeah,
So when Naomi's feeling 20%, it's my job as a other part of our duo to be at the 80%. And when I'm feeling 20%, it's Naomi's job to be 80%. We can't be lower than anyone else. And so when someone else tries to fill in that 20-80%, it won't work because they try and match one of our like
yeah.
energies. You know what I mean?
I think,
And they end up becoming more sadder than us. And that's sad.
but that kind of brings me to my next question. What surprised you when we became friends? What was the surprise?
So Naomi had this face. Like,
Ugh,
she, like, as a young kid, like, she loved people, but you don't know whether she enjoyed people because her face was just so hard to impress. Like, she was a person that you couldn't figure out what she was thinking. But eventually she enjoyed every single like experience, right? And so one of those moments where I actually doubted Naomi is she planned a drink up for my birthday. Oh, not my birthday, for Halloween party. The first time when Fusion bounded after me and Naomi were leading it. Um, our first ever celebration was a Halloween party, and Naomi actually rounded everyone up to my house, got my mum to set up everything, and she showed up. Everyone showed up to the party except for me. I didn't even. Oh no, I did show up to the party, but I only got notified of that party the day of. Yeah, yeah.
so here's the thing. It started off as a joke. Generally, I don't know how that came about, but I made a joke to mum, your mum, that we were gonna come over and have a party. I didn't think she was gonna take it serious and actually do a whole setup. But I made a joke to everyone, like, oh, let's go near after this and have a little party. But little did I also know we were actually making plans, as like everyone was tidying up. So I think because I didn't have a ride, I trained
Oh
all the
yeah.
way to your house. From PEP to
You
GI, I
did the long
trained.
way too when you
We
started
did. I
training.
was with Josh and Shannon. So we trained to PEP. I mean, we trained from PEP to GI. We got off. And you know where KFC is?
Yeah.
So we went to go right when we crossed the road, right? Josh led the way to the left. So we literally went the longest way. And he admitted that he didn't know where he was going. So I don't know how. I think we had to call you for you to guide us to your house, but it would have taken us like what 10 minutes to get
Mm.
there, but it actually took like 20 minutes for us. But we made it.
Yeah. That time in our friendship, you surprised me with how confident you became because you went from someone quiet in the corner to like organizing parties on the weekend.
But it was a joke, okay.
Is that someone word? But also,
Okay, it was a joke, but you know what? It turned out to be a blessing in disguise,
it was,
okay?
it was because it was back to back to back. No,
It
it was
really
back to back to
was.
bonding.
Yeah, it really, really was. And I think that is what surprised me in our friendship. I think for me, it was the first time that I stayed over. At yours, I think everyone had left, and it was just me and you because I didn't have a ride back home. So, so I had no choice. But I stayed, and we talked like literally all night until like 5 o'clock in the morning. But it was also my first time like having an actual friend that I could actually be vulnerable to. Although like it was weird for me, cause not gonna lie, when we first became friends, you are someone that likes talking about feelings.
Yeah,
You're very affectionate in
yeah.
your words,
And so do you.
whereas yeah, no shit. Honestly, you have honestly challenged me in those ways because that's the opposite for me. I'm so uncomfortable with talking about my feelings and what's going on with me. But for some bloody weird reason, you just had this way of like asking the questions. And a lot of people feel awkward asking questions like that. But I think for me, I appreciated people asking as long as they don't feel awkward about it. Even though the question itself is awkward, like I just appreciate the fact that someone actually had the balls to actually ask those questions.
Yeah.
But that also brings me to my next question. When did you realize this friendship was different?
Um, I don't know if you remember, like, there's so many memories that I always bring up to you. Like, was such a, like, was so honest with, like, our feelings and stuff. I
Mm,
feel like the time that really meant a lot to me was when my dad died. Oh my God, I'm gonna cry.
that's okay.
But I don't think anyone realizes that as soon as my dad died, I got given 3 days to just kind of get over it and then go back to work. Um, Not because I was forced to go back to work, but because I was the breadwinner of my house, meaning like I'm the one that gets the money to make bills meet and stuff. And so you during that time validated my sadness
Mm,
for my dad. No one else really took that in. You know me, I'm a private person.
yeah.
As much as I'm a public person, there's still 80% of people like my life people don't know, and it's my dad dying on my birthday. You literally carried me for a whole month. um I think I didn't regulate myself till September that
Mm,
year, but even then, like, that was the worst year of my life because like you carried me from when I got kicked out from when my dad died, and then I had a third incident, but um, that whole year you carried me. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that's a strength of 10 people. I don't know how you did it, but if it wasn't for you carrying me that one year, I don't think I would have made it. Um, so that's why it, it stuns me when you always go to me like, why do you thank me for? And I'm like, you don't realize how much you saved me during that point. You're so cocky about it to other people that you're like, no, I had her. No, no, where were you?
The
And that's
actuals, where were they?
that's what I love about you now is that you know what you've done for me, and you know how much this friendship means to me, because you're like, nah. Like all these new voices that I have now, you're like, where were they then?
Mm.
Like you remind me of that. I am not soft, guys.
Do you need a breather?
No, I'm healed now. It was just that moment in time where I needed more people around me, and it literally was only one person that it took. Yeah.
I think for me at that time when you were going through all of that in one year, I didn't see it as it should be 10 people, like you said, being there for you. If anything, I think for me it was seeing how it was when you told me you were going back to work.
Mhm.
That was when I knew that things really weren't okay. It wasn't already okay in the beginning, but it was the fact that you were going to work so soon
Yeah.
and that you were putting on this persona that you're over your dad's death and you've healed and you've grieved. 'Cause that was not, it was literally not even a week. And you went back, and I felt like, I didn't feel like, I was seeing everyone around you just getting on with their lives. And something about that was like, nah, fuck that. Like, she's not okay. Why is no one checking in on her? Why is no one annoying her? And I know that you're someone who also likes your own space. But for me, being your friend at that time, I kind of didn't give a fuck about having you,
Wow.
like leaving you in your own space.
You really didn't. I
Yeah,
remember that. You were so stubborn.
I don't know why. I think I just, it was me. A part of it was me being selfish because I really liked your company, but then the other part of me was like, she needs someone. So if no one else is gonna be there, I will be there.
Mm.
Um, that was literally how it started, and I think ever since then I just started annoying you. There wasn't a week that went by that I wasn't at your house
Yeah.
from that point on. And it was just a matter of just being a friend,
Mm.
letting you be ugly and being okay with it. Because a lot of people aren't okay. I don't feel like there's friends out there that don't know how to handle their friend being able to just be vulnerable
Yeah.
and let that let them be that way without having to fix it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times you don't need to be fixed.
Yeah.
You just need to let it out.
Just cry and then go boss
It's
it out
really that
afterwards, right?
simple, but people overthink it. Um,
When did you think we were different?
Honestly, it really was when I started coming over to your house.
Oh yeah.
Because my life, honestly, my life before Fab or before any of what we do now, it was consisted of home, school, and church. That was literally my life. And then I had no social life then, so I wasn't really good at making friends. I wasn't good at like talking to people or holding conversations. But I think it was when we started becoming friends and how I kept coming over to yours. There was a shift in your family taking me in as their own.
Mm.
That was when I realized like this friendship actually means like a lot. If anything, I think you were the one that kind of taught me life.
Mm.
And I can't like say that I did it on my own because it wasn't. It was literally when I found like friends that I call like lifelong friends now. But I think you in particular, you kind of taught me like about emotions. You kind of taught me about how to deal with things and how to approach certain situations and just like have an open mind on having an outlook on things. What?
That was so hard to teach you.
Talk about it then.
Because you're so fixed minded. Like
I am.
you are so bloody stubborn. Like no one can ever change your mind but me. And the reason for me,
Was
I have
that a lot of pressure on you?
no, I like it. You know me, I like challenges. But like bloody hell, you make it like it shouldn't be a challenge, but you know what I mean? Like, but you're not as challenging now.
A lot has happened for us to get to this point. So, just to close off, I want to thank you for, I don't know, sharing this space with me, but thank you for joining me.
No worries.
And I hope that kind of gave people a little glimpse of what we're like.